I told you so. Hey, I hate doing that to open my show. You know, I'm like I am just like right now, in my opinion, I am um I'm Nostradamus. I'm Nostradamus. Hey, Xander, I'm getting feedback here for some reason. I'm getting feedback here on the program here. So let's see if we can fix that here a little bit because I'm hearing it here with the Big Sill show here. What do you mean? What do you mean late? Okay. Are you guys hearing me? Can you guys hear it? Everything okay? Because we're getting a little feedback now for some reason. Okay. No, we're still getting it. Sildama. Yeah. No feedback on my end. I'm getting it on my end over here for some reason here. Okay, let's just do this. We're ready to rock and roll. And you know how we're ready to rock and roll? Big Stills. All right. So I hate to do this to you. As the Eagles' world turns, this is incredible. And first, I find a video that Vic Fangio says last year Howie Roseman's defense sucked. Would you like me to play that for you? I posted it. I posted this bad puppy. Let me see here. That Vic was at a golf tournament. Somebody sent me this audio here about Vic Fangio.
You know, I grew up an Eagles fan many years ago.
Wait, got to make sure we're okay with this.
You know, I grew up an Eagles fan many
Yeah, I'm good on the feedback now, Xander. We're good. It was on me.
Started in Philadelphia 40 years.
Hold on here. Here's Vic Fangio taking his shit on Howie.
Eagles fan many years ago. My pro coaching career started in Philadelphia 40 years ago. So hopefully I'll have a little run here and finish it in Philly too. Yeah, they weren't very good last year, and
they weren't very good last year.
Some new players.
You mean Howie's defense wasn't very good last year? Damn. What makes you think you're going to be pretty good this year? New players, new coaches? He just stated facts. I was stating facts since since New England. You didn't believe me. I said your defense is not that good. You didn't believe me. I told you from day one that thing wasn't going to be good. We all know this, jackass. Look at this gossip queen today. Oh, no, none of this is on me. That was the voice of Vic Fangio telling you that Howie's team wasn't very good last year. Okay? That's this year he said it. Hopefully we're going to be better. We'll see what happens. That was put on the air in Philly this morning. They were addressing pretty much the same personnel. Pretty much the same personnel. We haven't even gotten to Howard Eskin yet. Whoa! Do we got this thing going today? You guys might not want to hit the like button today. Because what I'm going to tell you is everything that I've been telling you is totally coming true. You haven't addressed anything of your problems in your locker room at all. And now the organization is feeling the same thing. I've been listening to JAKIB Sports the last 3 years. My fellow Eagle fans, and I love this. Everything about them, they tell us the absolute truth that a lot of the Eagle fans don't want to hear. Respect. Miguel, thank you. That's exactly true. And boy, are they going to fight you today, Miguel. You're going to see 1,000 LJs today. You're going to see 1,000 LJs. You're going to see all kinds of people mad at me for talking about what others are saying about your team. That's what they're going to say. Okay? They're going to be mad at me here. So let's dive in. I think it was more of a euphemism. Xander and John McMullen this morning were taking it as verbatim. They're going to start Carson Wentzing Jalen Hurts. They're going to start preparing to move on from him. And John says, well, Wentz demanded a trade. Well, how he got in front of that, did he not, by drafting Jalen Hurts? Because the organization had started to begin to see some cracks in the armor. Carson Wentz, going into the 2020 season, wasn't demanding to be traded. They had drafted Wentz or Hurts to begin the process. Would they have run it back? Not when Wentz saw the writing on the wall. So they were beginning as an organization to have questions about Carson Wentz. I think it started in the Seattle playoff game. We're not doing this again? Your mouthpiece, sideline reporter for your team yesterday reported that if Jalen Hurts doesn't have a great 2024 season, the team will begin the process of moving on from him. I didn't say that. What is your problem? What is your problem? I mean, do you think that guy just randomly came up with? Why does Howard Eskin suck for being told something? Nobody is going to risk their job. Dude, that's a fireable offense. When you're the sideline reporter for the Philadelphia Eagles, if you start throwing out misinformation. That was yesterday afternoon. This has nothing to do with last year. This has everything to do with this year. Absolutely. Sileo talks about other people said because he doesn't have enough of a brain. This has nothing to do with me. So if your indictment is on me, LJ, you shouldn't be here then. Go follow someone else. I've been doing this for 40 years almost. I know what I'm doing. I've worked as a sideline reporter with professional football teams. I've worked as a pre- and post-game host for NFL teams and college football teams, actually baseball teams too, and hockey teams. You don't have the absolute autonomy to start barking shit out like that without someone coming to you and telling you, LJ, go away then. Just go away. Go away. If you don't like it, this is not the military draft. You're not employed to be here. Never. Because you know why? This is more about me to him than actually telling you the truth about your team. And this is what people in Philly run from. Not all of you. Not all of you. Seriously, some of you don't have to be here. We like you here. But this has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me. I comment, and I'm an observationist. That's what I am. I'm an observationist. I observe what others say, and I comment on it. Just like every pundit in the news media does, and everybody in the sports media does. You comment on what Nick Nurse says. You comment on what John Tortorella says. You comment on what everyone says, including people that cover the team. You talk bullshit. What bullshit did I talk about that the sideline reporter said that if Hurts doesn't have, here, let's do the topic. Things have to be getting a little tense in the Eagle front office to allow the mouthpiece, Howard Eskin, to drop out that Hurts has to have a 2024 season, or they'll begin the Carson Wentzing of Hurts. He said that. Where do you think he got that? He made it up? I speculate a lot. Sideline reporters and people who work for the Eagles, that's the closest thing that you'll get to somebody telling him, hey, this guy better have a great year. Hey, and this stuff with that cap hits is so stupid. You want to hear something? Now, granted, it's a lot, it's a bit more money. But do you understand this year that the Denver Broncos are paying $43 million? $43 million to Russell Wilson. And the Steelers are paying 1.2 of his salary this year. Do you know that? Granted, I'll tell you how, according to the NFLPA, you can get out of this. If that's the avenue you want to go down. But you tell me this. Why in the world would the employee of the Philadelphia Eagles come out and say that Hurts has to have a better season or they'll begin the process of Carson Wentzing Hurts? That's a pretty bold statement for a guy to even go on WIP barking at. What do you mean? I'm going to ask Merrill Reese that question at 5:30 today. Why would one of your broadcast partners, maybe the toughest question I ever asked Merrill. Merrill, what's your take on him saying that about Hurts? You're a moron if you are expecting this team to coast to a 13-win season with a new OC in DC, maybe in 25. Forest Hill, I agree with you. Carson Wentz got Carson Wentz because he tore effing knee and was never the same. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in 2020 when they began the process after the season on exiting away from him. And that's when he said he wanted a trade. Prior to that year, how he drafted a quarterback 56th overall and Jalen Hurts. And that started the whole process. Actually, Seattle, the playoff game, and the hit by Clowney started the whole beginning of the end when he didn't go back in the game. And that's the following season when they ended up drafting Hurts in the second round. He drafted a safety belt. Sills, do you believe in Hurts this season? I don't believe in the Eagles this season. It's not Jalen. I don't believe the way they're coaching them. I told you that. If you allow the kid to be the kid that we saw in 2022, then yeah, I think he can do some marvelous things. He's a very undefensible guy. But if you start trying to make him into Joe Burrow, he'll never be that guy. He's not remotely close to that guy. Get this. Howard Eskin, hired by the Philadelphia Eagles, and is the sideline reporter who hears things on the sidelines. Do you actually think they would allow him to be on the sidelines in 2024 if he was going on the air in the city of Philadelphia lying about the Eagles and their position with Hurts right now? Would you ever want that if you were the team? Wouldn't you demand him fired? He's on the side. Think about this. Hey, guys, by the way, the people that are making this about me right now don't want to hear what I'm saying. So I want you to hear it crystal clear. And I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Whether you don't like me or not. Okay? Whether you don't like me or not. The bottom line, if you had a guy employed and he was on the sidelines hearing private conversations with players and coaches because he has got accessibility with the proximity of how he is as close to the players and hearing conversations. It's got nothing to do with me, Jason. This is fucking nothing to do with me. Would you want an employee going on the air in Philadelphia on June 18th, yesterday, and saying that the Eagles in the front office, if this guy doesn't play well, will begin the process of removing him? Would you? I would fire that guy today if that wasn't true. If I would, dude, you don't understand. Hey, get this. Xander Kraus gets so much shit for the stupid little tiny shit that we say here. You don't think that's a big deal? I heard Xander and John McMullen today, and they never even plugged in this. Jesus Christ, Xander. They call you on stupid shit about me. You don't think they'd call WIP and demand a retraction? They demand retractions from their coaches and players every fucking week. What makes you say true about our team? Just like you don't think it hurts the good leader. What do you think everyone has played with would say? I'm not sure again, Fat Mac. You got to put it a little better than that. You tell me. Thank you, though, Fat Mac. You tell me. I would demand a retract. Hey, so wait a minute. You don't demand a retraction from Eskin, but you demand a retraction or to quantify your comments after the Jets game when it comes to Hurts. Boy, oh boy, you're blind as a bat. I have been right, and I'm even more. Get this. It's becoming sad that I'm right. Okay? By the way, to LJ's point, I don't have to retract shit. I'm a talk show host. I'm not a journalist, fuckbag. I'm not the sideline reporter, and I'm not employed by the Eagles. I'm employed by JAKIB, not the Eagles. I owe them nothing. I owe them nothing. Nothing. I owe my audience a show every day for 4 fucking hours. Okay? I owe them nothing. I don't have to be politically correct, which I've never been. I don't have to sit there and toe the company line. He does. If Howard Eskin doesn't come out with a retraction, as far as I'm concerned, it's true. Bruce, you know what, Bruce? Sills is too real for these Gentiles. Can't let blinded folks get you worked up. They do it as trolls. No, listen. Hey, Sean, LJ's content. He's a bridge. He's like a stone in my shoe. It's a box of rocks. It's a guy that I can just absolutely show you what. Always remember something, Sean. He thinks Sirianni's better than Reed and Doug. That's all you need to know about him. And he comes after me. All you need to know. That's it. That he'd rather have Sirianni as your head coach than Andy Reid and Doug. That's it. Listen, the Eagles could have a hell of a season this year, and Sills will find a way to talk about the Eagles. You're damn right, because you're not going to have a hell of a season. You're never going to have a hell of a season. You were an 11-win football team last year, and you had a shitty season. Why? That was the ugliest 11 wins I have ever seen in my entire life. And they were miserable doing it. They were miserable, and they couldn't fight adversity. Seals, you're speaking facts, and we love you, but calm down. Don't need your blood pressure to rise over these strokes. We'll always support you and Xander. Thank you, Jameson. Jameson, I get fired up over a lot of things, brother. Don't worry about it. I'm Italian. That's all you need to know, guy. We're good, brother. Honestly, man. It's all good. This is going to be a great year. Stills, isn't very possible that Eskin is reporting the exact story the owner and GM want to float to the public? Yes. The story didn't come from the sidelines, but the boardroom. Bob, thank you. Put Bob up there. Put Bob, that's it. Bob, yes. Bob, does it come off to you that you think that Philadelphia organization, hey, Xander, let me ask, I can't wait to get Xander's on at 4:30. Mark Holmes, I don't think we're getting Philly 500 today at 3:30. He's got an obligation. 5:30 is going to be Merrill Reese. But I can't wait to get Xander on. Seals, isn't it very possible that Eskin is reporting exactly the story that the owner and GM want to float out to the public? The story didn't come from the sideline, but the boardroom. Let me ask you something here. Xander, why would they call, and this is for him at 4:30, why would they call you about me calling the general manager a glorified CPA and said that, make those comments up that I was racist, or to threaten John McMullen and his key fob because I was on JAKIB Sports in the network? You know, they threatened John over me, and you're trying to tell me you think it's cool that a sideline reporter starts barking on the airwaves of the flagship station. I was fired because of the flagship station, telling them, you either go or I go. You either go or I go. Do you understand that? I think we're getting Philly 500. Awesome. Awesome. What do you hey, that organization called Craig Carton and Fox and FS1 because of the shit he was saying. But you're just going to let Howard Eskin spread false rumors? Ask yourself that. And guess what the media do in Philly? You know what the media will do in Philly? They'll blow it off like a nothing burger. That's June 17th. No biggie. An employee of the Philadelphia Eagles, who are an organization, is absolutely petrified if anybody says anything negative about, is allowing an employee to go out on the airwaves on a 50,000 watt station, one of the most powerful sports stations in America, saying that if Hurts doesn't play well in 2024, they're going to begin the Carson Wentzing of him. Really? Well, I've worked for organizations like that, and it doesn't work like that. Do you know how many times when I worked for the Raiders in the pre and post game, and I did an afternoon show in the Bay Area, do you know how many times I'd get calls from the Raiders? Hey, let's not go down that route. Let's not talk about Jeff George like that. Hey, let's not talk about Joe Bugle like that. A little bit more positive in the comments about Bugle. He really likes him. And you're like, okay, because you know what? You got to follow along and you got to play along. That's what the deal is. Doesn't work like that. Hey, John works for JAKIB. He don't work for the Eagles. Howard works for the Eagles. It's a different mentality. They got more control of Howard. Forrest goes, Howard never said who told him. You don't get it. You don't go on making shit up. You don't go on hey, okay, so that would be like Merrill Reese at 5:30 today going like this. There's a good chance that if Nick Sirianni doesn't get out to a 4-0 start, they could fire him in September. And you think the Eagles would be okay with that? You guys don't see it. I cannot believe how blind some of you are. This is exactly the same stuff that went on at the back end of the season. Philly hater, please like and subscribe. Fat Mac Philly, thank you, my friend. Prince, dude, this is that front office. I could just feel the hidden truth ready to crack Earth's surface. I'm waiting years for this. Long live King Sills. Mr. Perez goes, 34 minutes of horseshit. That an employee of the Eagles came out and said, Hurts better have a 2024 season, or they'll start the process of moving on from him. And an employee of them said it, not me. Okay. You need to call WIP and the Eagles then and ask him, is there a retract? Hey, how many people think there's a retraction coming? Hey, if there's a retraction, I'll take it back. I have no problem. Hey, Bob, if they have a retraction, I'll go, hey, man, okay, that was just an opinion that got a little away from Howard. Howard's one of the best sports talk guys, or used to be. Hey, Sills, the Eskin report is no different than Hurts commenting 95% change to the offense. Both stories give coverage. They both slant in their favor. If season turns to shit. So you're saying this, that Jalen's making excuses, but hey, that's Jalen's opinion. When you're a sideline reporter, you're not supposed to have an opinion. And I'll say this one more time to you, my friend. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, hold on. I'm awake, are you? Would you trust Howard Eskin on the sideline with confidential comments being made by players and coaches if he's out there saying that this is a do or die year for Hurts? Just a common question. Would you? Would you trust him? Knowing that organization the way they are, would you trust them? Would you trust them? How about the conversations that A.J. Brown may have with Hurts on the sidelines? And if you're the Eagles, after hearing a guy say, unless he was told, you're not getting it. It's not so much what he's saying, is that he's saying it publicly and not in opinion form. You see, if John Ritchie said that, I'd be like this. Or even John McMullen said that. I'd be like, well, it's a reporter. Has to be a little bit of opinion there. John Ritchie does a morning show. Did morning radio for 30 years. I get it. But when you're an employee of a pro football team like I've been, there's stricter parameters and guardrails. You're just not understanding how broadcasting works. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you and tell you why I have stepped on my dick all these years. I'm coming from a place of experience. I got canned or replaced because I was going to Boston and San Diego. Do you know I was the pre- and post-game show host for the San Diego Padres, the San Francisco Giants, and the Florida Marlins? I was the pre- and post-game host for those three Major League Baseball teams, okay? When I would go on the air and start saying shit like the Padres are known for two things, Tony Gwynn and the hamburger guy. Do you know the shit I got? I was the Padres guy for 3 years. Many people don't realize that. I was the Giants post-game show host for 3 years at KMBR 68. You don't have that autonomy. I was the pre- and post-game show host for the Raiders for 3 years. You don't have that type of latitude. I'll talk about Willie in a minute. Of course, I met Willie Mays. Willie Mays was one of the most accessible people you can possibly be around. Howard Eskin is going to be Trump's White House press secretary. You tell me. So you think there's nothing to it? That a sideline reporter and an employee of the Eagles is going out on a 50,000 watt powerful WIP, and that's a nothing burger. Xander said it the other day on June 17th. That Hurts comment with all this stuff is not adding up. Hurts saying the offense is 95% new. What's his name coming out saying, wait, it's not. It's about 20% new. Hurts saying, I don't know what the role is of the head coach. Now you're having a guy come out saying they're going to start the process of looking for a new quarterback after this year if he doesn't have a good year. All of this noise does not resemble the meltdown of last year. You never addressed it because of the most important thing that you did do. You didn't change the culture in your locker room. And the loss of Kelsey is rearing its head even more. You have no leadership on that team. None. And it's an implosion. I already know it. Like I told you in the New England, that defense is not good. You got Vic Fangio telling you now they weren't very good last year. I told you after the New England game they weren't going to be a great team. I thought they'd get better by week 8. I did. But it didn't because they made the move by week 9 or 10 to fire Desai. Get this. An employee. LJ's calling Howard Eskin gossip when he works for the team. You made the coach, the players, all last year do retractions on some of the comments that they made in the locker room and after games. But you're not going to have a guy come out and say, hey, they're going to start the Carson Wentz process. You can't be a gossip guy and a sideline reporter. You don't understand. They're not the same. It's a different job description. John covers the team. Howard works for the team, which means he's told things. They put him on the air so he can be the Philadelphia Eagles mouthpiece. Don't you get it? That's a megaphone for the Eagles WIP now. Angelo's telling you that every fucking time he comes on. That is a megaphone now for the Eagles. They have zero credibility. You do not know how broadcasting works. I've worked at every single angle of this profession. Talk show host, co-host, pre- and post-game, sideline reporter, baseball, hockey, NFL. There's nothing I haven't done. Nothing. I've worked for networks. I worked at Fox Sports. I was the first hire at Fox Sports Radio. Me. I'm trying to explain to you. This is something here. The media is looking for a good story. The media is looking for a good story, but the employee usually doesn't give the story. When I set up a story about something and people start responding to it, that's one thing. But when an employee of the team hired by the flagship station to be the mouthpiece and megaphone says it, it's a different animal. Like I said, John McMullen and people like John McMullen are not employees of the Eagles. It's why NBC Philadelphia Sports is told not to put anybody on our show. You know why? They've got an agreement with the Eagles. So Bob Lang calls them and tells them, don't put anybody on Sileo show or the network because of Sileo. He says that. Xander knows it. Joe Kraus knows it. Hey, to them, kudos to them because they don't waver. Most companies waver. They don't waver because we're only talking ball here. Nothing personal. A little personal with Howie because he's a Gator, but probably a little personal with me too because I'm a Hurricane. I don't give a fuck, dude, if anybody on the team likes me. I didn't care if any of the Buccaneers liked me. It didn't matter, but they listen. Or they wouldn't be calling my bosses every day. Even Angelo knows that. You know, Angelo kind of makes me a little crazy that he even knows it now. You know, he texted me the other day, too, after he came on. And you know what he said? Man, you got them riled up, dog. They watch your show every day. And, boy, you don't know the people that call me and go and watch your show that work at IP and over at the Fanatic. You are saying things that they're not allowed to. Kudos to you. As long as your bosses keep going, you're the only guy in the building. Seals Eskin is delivering the exact message that Howie and Jeff, mostly Jeff, wanted delivered this way. A shot across the bow. Hurts now know. Oh, Hurts. Can I tell you, Bob? Hey, Bob, that's a great take. I'm going to tell you something here, Bob. That Eskin comment. Why do you think Eskin made that comment? Why do you think he made that comment? Oh, Jalen wants to throw shit at Nick Sirianni? Nick Sirianni, and he wants to throw shit at the coach? And he wants to start making excuses? Well, 2024 better be a good year for you, Hurts. Or we'll start that process too, like we did with Wentz. Okay? We can move on from you too. We moved on from Doug. Dude, if you can move on from Doug Peterson, you can move on from Jalen Hurts. What's he done? I think they're pissed off more so. Like Jeff McClain reported last week, that this right here that Eskin's saying, I think that this has a lot to do with the organization. Maybe it's an idle threat. And by the way, on June 19th, it could be just a threat. Hey, don't talk shit on our guys, or we'll move on from you. It could be just that subtle. Don't you think that was a comment to put Jalen Hurts back in line again and start towing the line and the company line? Don't you think? One thing the Eagles do that I respect is they know how to move on from a quarterback. Absolutely. Ladder all day, dual threat. 42-19. Thank you, brother. By the way, I'm hearing at the end of the year, they're going to give Brock Purdy a deal that's going to put him in the top 3 highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League. Jalen will have a bounce back season. Same could be said about Purdy, Jackson, and your beloved Josh Allen. Hey, Marcus. Brock Purdy was in the Super Bowl in the 5th quarter last year. Jackson was the MVP. And Josh Allen is considered one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league outside of Philadelphia. Hurts is not. Sad that we're talking about moving on already when February 2023, Jalen almost helped us win a Super Bowl. Philly media, dipshits. Dude, that Super Bowl thing is the dumbest thing you could possibly say. Okay? Honestly, played here. I'm gonna give you guys a point about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles and the Niners. Niner, you may not like this, but I'm just gonna show you. And John McMullen said this morning. Did he not? Just make sure to double check this here, Xander. John said this. I didn't really think he played that bad last year when talking about Jalen in 23. Guess what? That's not good enough to beat that kid in Kansas City. And the Eagles and the Niners now know, no matter how much money you spend, how much money you put in the huddle, it's not good enough. You can't just have, well, I didn't think he played that poorly. That's not good enough. The MVP in Baltimore didn't play good enough. So this has to be one of the most disappointing things for Howie Roseman to deal with. No matter how much money you spend, it won't matter because your quarterback is not good enough. What did John say? I didn't think he played that poorly. That's not good enough. With all that talent. Tell me I'm wrong. Brock Purdy took Kansas City into the 5th quarter. Jalen played his ass off. Not good enough. You don't get graded on a bell curve when it comes to greatness. Okay? Prince wants to throw the coaching in. Okay? You're not good enough. You weren't surely good enough in coaching and at the quarterback position. You're not good enough. Josh Allen last year, they weren't good enough at the coaching position and quarterback position. Yes. You are not subject to be excused from that dialogue. You're not good enough. We'll see who's good enough. Dude, you had everyone a year ago play great. Their numbers dictate it. Once again, I keep bringing the point up that you're blind to. Nobody had a bad year on the offense. Nobody. Who had a bad year? Tell me who had a bad year in the offense. What player had a bad year? What player had a bad year? Watkins, the third wide receiver that they don't. Goddard was injured. Tell me again, who had a bad year? Quez Watkins? Well, he's not on the team. What player? Stick to the fucking players and a player accountability. What Xander said yesterday. What player had a bad year last year? Goddard's injured. Oh, now Goddard's the new guy? Goddard. Who else? I'm not making excuses. I'm asking you a question. What player on that offense? You said Goddard. Okay, Goddard. LJ brings a great point up. Obsessed with last year because you haven't fixed last year's problems. And you can't fix it with signing people. That's the mentality. So wait a minute. Let's ask yourself this question. Let's put it down on paper here. If they fix their locker room problems, and you know what I'll do? I'll go right along with you guys here. You ready? Okay. Hurts is not sure he likes the offense. That was at his press conference. Nick Sirianni said in his press conference that the offense was going to be a blend of the old and new. Jalen said the offense is 95% new. Jalen asked the role of the head coach. I don't know the role of the head coach. No role, head coach. Howard Eskin goes, no. An employee of the team. No. It's about 20% new. And then the employee comes out again and says they may start, and I'm paraphrasing this, the transition of looking for a new quarterback. So this is what's going on in your offseason. First, Howie doesn't want to address the Hassan Reddick stuff. That's not that big a deal. But the Reddick deal, Hurts, not sure he likes the offense. Nick, blend of the new and the old. Jalen saying it's 95% new, contradicted by the employee of the team, 20% new. Jalen and the head coach doesn't know his role. They'll start a transition if he doesn't have a good 24 season. These are all things that have been going on in the media from the organization and the NovaCare Center. Get this. This is not media made. This is Philadelphia Eagle made. This is the same kind of shit that imploded your season a year ago. Nobody in the media made this up. These are all things that were at press conferences and by an employee of the team. Where are you getting? People are making these storylines up. Get this. These storylines came from Hurts, an employee of the team, and the head coach. Where in the world are you getting that guys like me made this up? Where are you getting this from? The coach and the player were contradicting themselves the entire offseason. And then you had an employee of the team contradicting the quarterback. Where are you getting? And by the way, some people, even on our network, say, this is a nothing thing. Isn't this the kind of shit that imploded your year a year ago? Outside noise? Hey, Dan, do you think Hurts actually believed in Johnson and not Sirianni, and maybe he feels the wrong guy was let go? Yeah, I do. And he can't say it. How could Brian Johnson be a great coach when you have Nick telling everybody it's my offense? So wait a minute. You fired Brian for play calling someone else's game plan. How could you find out or know if that guy's a good coach or not? You never let him be a coach. Brian Johnson is getting the heat for Nick Sirianni's incompetent offensive game plan. That's not fair. And Jalen didn't speak up for him. That's not right. That's not right. Dude. Hey, Roland. How many are you not shocked how many people in here are not wanting to hear this? Hey, why don't you do me a favor? Philadelphia sports fans, why don't you go give Trey fucking Turner a 21-minute fucking standing ovation for coming off of IR? What's that about? Who fucking cares? Go to work, kid. You give him a 21-minute standing ovation for coming off of IR? What in the world is that? You gotta be kidding me. What happened to some of you? Where in the world do you give Trey Turner a 21-minute standing ovation for a guy who sucked in the playoffs a year ago for coming off of injured reserve? I was told you were tough. What in God's name? Man, what an epiphany. Philadelphia sports fans who destroyed Ben Simmons. You're giving a 21-minute standing ovation to a guy because he came off of injured reserve? I thought that was reserved for people like Mays. 15-2, book it. Like and subscribe. So if you, QB, move off of Jalen Hurts, who's available, or are you going to draft a rookie quarterback and start over? All this to protect the bum-ass coach. It's a great question. We're going to do that at the top of the hour here. I'm going to tell you how to move off him. Maybe Hurts wants out. What in the world are you doing celebrating a guy coming off an injured reserve? What is that? How is that a thing? Jesus criminy. Did he hit 4 home runs in a game? No, he's coming off injured reserve. How much you paying him? $40 million a year, $30 million a year. I'm not understanding what I'm cheering for. Doing your job? What on? Dude, I expect that in Los Angeles. Or I expect that in some snowflake city, somewhere else. I don't expect that in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't. Guy comes off IR and you're giving him a 21-gun salute. How pathetic. The standing O they gave him last year got him going. Oh, but not the money. Sam goes like this. Last year, hold on here for a second. Let me find out something here. Just to get this. Sam says the standing O got him going. Let me see something here. I just got to ask him just a simple question here. How much money does Trey Turner make a season? Okay, so this guy makes $30 million a year, but your cheers got him going. Soft? You're right. I'm too old for that because I don't understand that. I'm paid to do a job. They already started the Wentz treatment. Hurts was the low-risk replacement for Wentz. Pickett is the same for Hurts. That's why they traded for Pickett. Hey, you know what? Let's use a little bit of LJ's logic now. Maybe one of the reasons why. You want to hear something crazy? I'm gonna read this to you here. I got to go to the NFL website here. If they would have moved off him this year, hypothetically, if they would have moved off him this year, let's start it now. Hold on. NFLPA. I got to type something in. Hang on. Can the Eagles move off of Jalen Hurts? Okay, contract. Well, the Eagles certainly want to have. Okay, here we go. I got to type this in. While the Eagles certainly want to have a strong year in 24 and likely will, Hurts still is very young and ready. Moving on after the 24 season would be hasty unless something shocking happens. Now, here's how it could happen. Then that's right, Prince. I wrote it down here. Let's move to it now. Because I hear Xander bring that number up, the 100 million. It's a number. It's a thing. How can the Eagles move off of Hurts' deal? Here. If Hurts waives his no, and this is the big one, if he waives his no trade clause, he's been paid so far $24.3 million. That was for this year. Obviously, it's not happening. And to LJ's point, these cap hits make it conducive to move off him. I'll show you how. Contract also is fully guaranteed in 25. Option bonuses of $41 million. He has a base of 1.17. That's why the cap's low. In the next 3 seasons, Jalen Hurts will be paid $133 million. That's $44 million, almost $45 million per year. Now, here's the deal. 2 things would have to happen. A team would have to want to pick the contract up, and he'd have to waive his no clause. Got to find a partner. You got to find a team that would want to make that deal. Cap hits. Some of these cap hit conversations, it's phony because you can restructure. Standing ovation didn't help on the playoffs. It's a weak look, too. The dead cap for the next 3 years is $12 million for post-June 1 trades. Not catastrophic. You got to find a partner, and he's got to waive. The smartest thing in the contract is not the money. The smartest thing in the contract is his no trade. Nicole Lynn getting that no trade puts a lot of it on Hurts. Now, let's do this. What if Jalen sees the football team implode again internally? And it's too much bullshit from up top. Maybe he wants out. And he waives it. Or he gives the Eagles a list of teams that he'd be willing to go to. What if it doesn't work out in Pittsburgh like the place he wanted to go initially? To Mike Tomlin. How about Tampa? How about Miami? How about the Jets? How about if he's the heir apparent in New York, the Jets to Aaron Rodgers? Getting off that deal's not as big as you think. You got to find a partner, and he's got to waive the no trade. It can be done. Dude, the Denver Broncos. Now look, it's half the money. They're paying $44 million, Denver, for a guy playing in Pittsburgh, still in the AFC. What if Wilson, he didn't have that horrible of a season a year ago. What if he bounced back and that Steeler team gets a great productive year out of him and they go to the AFC title game? You're paying to beat them. And they're paying $44 million. The Steelers are paying 1.5 for a guy that can take him to the AFC title game. Holy shit. Omar Khan, way to go. What a gamble that is. And the gamble is nothing. 1.5? The Eagle kicker makes more. Hey, so let's do this. How many people believe that the Philadelphia Eagles, if Jalen Hurts doesn't have a good season in 24, according to Howard Eskin, if he doesn't have a good year, that they will try to move heaven and earth to get out from that contract? Do you believe that? Why would they hang on the vine? Because then get this, to what everyone says, Xander and everyone, people on my network, people on the air at IP, and the Fanatic, and the Inquirer, there's nothing left to do. You're not good enough. What are you going to do? Go into every year knowing you're not good enough? Calvin goes, Eskin has zero credibility. Then why does he work for the Eagles? Calvin, he's not a talk show host. He's a mouthpiece. He's a megaphone for the team. He's not a talk show host. He's perpetrating himself as one. This is you haven't even played a game yet. I'll tell you something. If I'm Nick, John McMullen's article might actually be right. Hey, this is a political hot stove right now because that organization is known to panic. And new knee-jerk moves, firing of a coach in season, removing a coordinator, putting another guy in, bringing Matt Patricia in. Who thought that thing up? I'd really like to know who was that. Has anyone ever answered that? Has anyone ever answered who hired him? Who's hired him? Who put him in as the court? Hey, let me ask you this. Why didn't you put Denard Wilson? Oh, that's right. You moved off him. And he's now the DC in Tennessee. I forgot. That's right. Vic Fangio coming out also at a golf tournament that was played on the air today in Philly. Yeah, they weren't good last year. What wasn't good? Doesn't Vic say good players make good defenses? I don't think he was taking a shit on Desai. I thought he was taking a shit on the players. Yeah, they weren't good last year. Got new coaches in, got some new players in. Hopefully we're going to be better than we were a year ago. Didn't Vic Fangio at a press conference, didn't he come out publicly and say, hey, schemes don't make good defenses. Good players make good defenses. So the players on the team last year were not good. So wait, the guys that you've been telling me about the greatness of the Howie Roseman drafting, the defensive coordinator says that you sucked last year. The guy who constructed the players and put on the team, it wasn't Nick Sirianni. It was Howie Roseman. And he's saying it today on the Philadelphia airwaves on TV. They weren't good. But it was Sean Desai. That's not what Vic said. That's not what Vic said. Vic was completely right. They stunk it up last year. The players did. That's how he looks at it. He goes, the scheme's not going to make us better. Do you understand? He said that to you. Scheme's not going to make us better. Better players make us better. The thing that Xander talked about with player accountability. Vic believes in it, like every good coach does. Hey, think Bill Belichick's any worse of a coach today than he was when he was winning Super Bowls? No. They had lesser quarterback play. Isn't that the biggest example? Isn't that the biggest example? You had Tom Brady, okay. And then you went to Mac Jones and you went to Cam Newton. Well, what'd you think you were going to get? It was going to maintain? Who do you think you are, Joe Gibbs? This comes down to Jimmy's and Joe's. Still's making up his on BS. What am I making up? Once again, what am I making up? Hurts not knowing the role of the coach. New offense is 95% new. The head coach said it was going to be the blend of the old and new. Hurts not sure he liked the offense. An employee of the team came out and said that, no, it's only 20% new. And then an employee of the team came out and said if Hurts doesn't have a good year, they're going to Carson Wentz the quarterback. What's BS? This came out of press conferences in the mouth of an employee of the team. What's BS? By the way, if one or two of these things were said, I agree with Xander. It's June 17th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It seems every week there's some drama. Then you have Jeff McClain coming out going, people in the front office are not happy with Jalen Hurts. So you have Jeff here. You have a sideline reporter in Jeff McClain. You have an employee of the team in Howard Eskin. You have the coach saying shit that doesn't go along with the quarterback, and the quarterback contradicting the head coach. None of these things came from the media. What's BS? What's BS? Your own local news played Vic saying you weren't good. And your players weren't good last year. Basically took a shot at Howie. Howie, the guys you put on the defense last year and on the roster weren't good enough. But magically this year, they are. Okay. And you traded away your best defensive player. Okay. I can't believe I see this and no one else can. It's mind-numbing. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, swinging a golf club, goes, yeah, they weren't very good. Oh, man. And him telling you exactly, hey, this ain't going to be anything. Remember what Dave Wanstead said on my program? It won't be because of Vic's schemes. Vic knows what he's doing. It'll be because you don't have players are good enough. Player accountability, which nobody in Philadelphia wants to hold anybody to anymore. Greatest example, a 21-gun salute for Trey Lance for coming off IR. The guy who makes $30 million a year. But I mean, hey, Angelo's right. What happened? Did you lose your balls? Did you lose your balls? I mean, did your balls fall off? If you're associated with the Philadelphia media or town, you look for negatives. I don't know if there's something about their upbringing or they have too many hoagies or, hey, Twiz, this is coming out of the NovaCare Center and out of the flagship station of the Eagles. This is not coming out of the media. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're making it up. What are you talking about, Twiz? The quarterback and the coach, an employee and the station of the Eagles is saying this, and the defensive coordinator is. What are you talking about? Where is the makeup? Hey, and get this. That's a great point. I hadn't added that in. So why do you think there's $30 million in extra cap space? I don't know. Are they saving money up to move off of Hurts? You ever think of that? They got to be like the only winning team that are $30 million under the cap going into the season. Did you ever think, why are they saving it? What are they putting it away for a rainy day? National conspiracy show, he says. How is this conspiracy when the coach and the player and the NovaCare Center and an employee in the flagship of the team is saying this? What is the conspiracy about it? Dude, like I said, if there's one thing, that's fine. If there's 20 things, you haven't addressed what happened. And why last year I still harp on it? Because I don't think you fixed why you melted down, because you never held anybody accountable for it. And the problem still resonates. Jalen Hurts should dump water on Howard like Deion Sanders did to Tim McCarver for talking shit about him. Really? Disciple. If somebody starts talking like that and says that shit about me, I'm the guy who's the starting quarterback, and the sideline reporter, no wonder that, what's his name? That ESP guy could write a column about Deshaun Jackson and get away with it because the Eagles tell him that. When he was at NJ.com, the Kelly people had to leak that to him for him to be allowed in that locker room. Would you ever trust anybody that cost an Eagle his job ever again and allow him to go back into a locker room? Would you ever trust a reporter after putting all those false innuendos about Deshaun Jackson? And even if some of them had a tinge of truth, would you ever want a reporter to talk like that about, and as a beat reporter, knowing the kind of control that Bob Lang and the Eagles have over the reporters? Would you allow that? You call my bosses daily, and you allow that, and then turn around and allow Howard, an employee of the Eagles, to go on airwaves on your station with no ramifications. What's his name says I'm no different than ESP. I'm not a reporter. I'm a talk show host. I've never, ever in a million years called myself a journalist. He does. I'm not looking to get a key fob. I could care less. I'm paid by JAKIB. If the Eagles offered me a key fob, it would probably hurt my show. I'm a talk show host. I have opinions. When you're a columnist, you're not supposed to write innuendos that cost players their jobs. Who actually gives a shit what I say? But guys who are around football players in a locker room on a day-to-day basis, hearing private conversations, you're okay with. No way. That's not how that works. I've been in this business too long. No way. John McMullen knows better too. He knows that there's a difference. I don't think they'd move on. Really. But they'll move on from Doug. And move off of Wentz. Well, there's so much money. Dude, if that team will eat $40 million on Carson Wentz's deal, they'll come up with ways. Hey, I thought Howie was some sort of capologist in Howie Vision. You're telling me a guy like that couldn't come up with a dance partner to move Hurts and construct a contract a way that would be conducive for the Eagles not to get killed in the cap? You're out of your minds. That's the one thing that guy does exceptionally well. You know what he does well? Comes up with ways of getting out of trouble. I think we're getting Philly 500 on two. He wasn't supposed to, but this is going to be, if Philly 500 does show up to this may be one of the most contested and heated conversations on what's going on, because I'll tell you what, the Eagles now look like the Cowboys. There's drama in the building. There's drama in the building. You know, I had all these questions here for Mark, by the way, who does a fabulous job. Hey, and me and Xander say it all the time. We love the guy coming on here. I do, actually. That doesn't mean we're going to go soft on his ass. But I do want to ask him a Cowboys perspective on this. And then we'll give Philly 500s. I'm not taking sides here on this. But don't tell me there's not shit going on in that building. Please hit the like button. Here's